Welcome to the live, My Poetics. You already know, this is the Poetic Storyteller, where the drama stays rich, the romance stays messy, and the tea is always scalding. If you're new here, hit that follow button, double tap the screen, and don't forget to share the live so the whole squad can join us. Tonight, we're diving into a story that's part wedding, part train wreck, and one accidental husband named Tristan. I'm reading from my romantic comedy series, Wedding Crasher Clause. If you've ever had a toxic ex, almost murdered a man with charm and abs, or accidentally gotten married after too much champagne congratulations, you're in the right place. Our girl Maya is a type A wedding planner just trying to survive peonies, panic attacks, and one very smug best man named Tristan, who may or may not become her husband by accident. It's messy, it's hilarious, it's a little too relatable. And yes, there's a heart-shaped jacuzzi involved. Let's dive in. Wedding Crasher Clause, a romantic comedy series. Chapter 1, RSVP to Disaster. Maya Brooks checked her watch for the 15th time in 10 minutes. Her clipboard clutched to her chest like it was a life raft, and she was drowning in peonies, drama, and fragile heterosexual egos. The Sunset Vista Resort buzzed with pre-wedding chaos, and once upon a time, she lived for this madness. Now, she just tried not to punch anyone in the face. "Excuse me, are you Maya?" said a voice that sounded like it had a six-pack and no sense of boundaries. She turned, already bracing for the worst, and, yep, there it was, her personal nightmare come to life, leaning against a marble pillar like he was shooting a cologne ad. Tousled hair? Check. Wrinkled button-down that screamed, "I woke up like this, and yes, I'm hot." Double check. Jeans at a formal rehearsal dinner? Bingo. "Please don't be Tristan Vale, best man extraordinaire," he said with a smirk that probably got him out of parking tickets. He extended a hand. "I believe you've been expecting me. Something about my unhinged RSVP comment? Your exact words, according to Jess." I knew I should have burned that RSVP card in a cleansing ritual. "Mr. Vale," she said, shaking his hand like she was shaking a bottle of soda, politely, but barely containing pressure. "I see you've mastered the art of showing up fashionably underdressed. The rehearsal starts in 20 minutes. Relax, sweetheart, it's just a practice run." He winked. "Can I legally kick him into the ocean? What are the local laws on that?" "It's Miss Brooks, not sweetheart, and this a practice run is the difference between a dream wedding and a TikTok disaster titled When Everything Went to Hell in Maui." "Pretty sure TikTok would love that. Where's your tuxedo?" "In my room, where I assumed I'd have time to change, but apparently this operation is run by a clipboard-wielding general." Her left eye twitched. She was going to develop a permanent tic. "Organization isn't tyranny, Mr. Vale. It's how grown adults don't set the reception hall on fire." He grinned. "Fire makes for good photos." "So does a mugshot, pal. Keep pushing me." Just then, Jess appeared like a human confetti cannon in a swirl of tulle and mild hysteria. "Maya, thank God you're here. The florist delivered orchids instead of peonies. Aunt Martha's already drunk, and the string quartet is stuck behind a goat parade." Maya blinked. "A goat parade? It's a local thing, I think." "Of course it is." "Okay," Maya said, shifting into crisis mode. "I'll call the backup florist. Can you handle Aunt Martha? Maybe distract her with carbs?" "I'll try." "Oh." Jess turned to Tristan, beaming. "You two met." "We're bonding," Maya muttered. "Intimately," Tristan added. She did not sigh. She exhaled aggressively. "Perfect," Jess said. "Maya, Tristan's going to be such a huge help. He's incredible at thinking on his feet." "I bet. Probably because he never uses his brain for walking or anything else productive." 2 hours later, Maya had replaced the flowers, sedated Aunt Martha with sparkling water and crackers, and convinced the quartet to perform an unplugged version of Canon in D using a ukulele and a suspiciously talented waiter. She found Tristan on the terrace, now in his tuxedo, and somehow looking like a Disney prince who'd stolen your heart and your credit score. "Not bad for boot camp," he said, handing her a glass of champagne. "You don't get to call it that? You're like a wedding ninja." "I prefer professional with a god complex, but in a sexy way," he said. She sipped the champagne and pretended it wasn't the best drink she'd had all week. "You actually helped," she admitted begrudgingly. That speech you gave when the quartet was late, it worked. Was that a compliment? Should I get it in writing? Don't push it. They stood in mostly peaceful silence, watching the sunset smear gold and pink across the sky like the universe was trying to show off. Maybe Tristan wasn't a complete menace. Maybe this weekend wouldn't be a total Ms. Brooks. The resort manager appeared with the expression of a man about to ruin her life. I'm afraid there's been a booking error with your room. Maya's stomach dropped. What kind of error? We're overbooked by one room. The only available option is the executive suite with 2 beds. You'd have to share. There was a pause. A silence so thick you could frost a wedding cake with it. Absolutely not, Maya snapped. No, nope, nuh-uh. How executive are we talking? Tristan asked, already plotting. Like mini bar, jacuzzi, room service, Egyptian cotton sheets? Do we get robes? Because I only share a room if there are plush hotel robes. Non-negotiable. Tristan, no. Tristan, yes. Come on, princess. We're both adults. I promise to keep my hands to myself. Unless you beg, princess. I'm very open-minded when it comes to negotiation tactics. She closed her eyes, counted to 10, counted the number of stabby objects within reach. When she opened them, he was still there, smirking, existing. This is how villains are born, right here. Fine, she said through clenched teeth. But we're setting ground rules, starting with, stop calling me princess. Deal, sweetheart. This is going to be a murder trial. I definitely mean long weekend. Chapter 2, the fake wedding clause. Maya woke up at 5 a.m. to find Tristan doing push-ups in nothing but boxer shorts. She immediately shut her eyes like a possum playing dead. Maybe if she stayed perfectly still, the shirtless Adonis doing push-ups would disappear. That's how predators work, right? Don't look at his shoulders. Shoulders don't matter. No one ever divorced over shoulders. Breathe. Be chill. Think about napkin folds. Damn it. Now I'm thinking about napkin folds on those shoulders. Morning, sunshine, he called out between reps. Sleep well? You talk in your sleep, by the way. Something about fixing the buttercream emergency? I do not talk in my sleep. She sat up, clutching the sheets like they were a force field, and put on a shirt. This is a professional arrangement. Professional roommates, got it. He grabbed a towel, grinning like a smug underwear ad. Though I have to say, you're much less terrifying first thing in the morning. Your hair's doing this cute. Don't. If he says one more word about my bedhead, I swear I'll hit him with a bouquet toss at close range. By 10 a.m., Maya was deep in wedding day prep when crisis struck. Tommy, one of the groomsmen, was pacing the getting ready suite like a caged animal. I can't do it, he muttered. I can't watch Jake get married. What if I'm never ready? What if commitment is just a myth we tell ourselves? Oh good. Existential dread. Just what we needed to go with the floral arrangements. Tommy, breathe, Maya said, glancing around for backup. The other groomsmen were useless, playing video games and arguing about cologne like frat boys at a department store. Where was Tristan when she actually needed him? Probably oiling his abs or something. No, you don't understand. Tommy grabbed her shoulders like a soap opera villain. Marriage is permanent forever until death do us part. That's terrifying. Maya's chest tightened. Until death do us part? Derek's voice crept in uninvited. I can't do this, Maya. I'm sorry. Her hands shook as she reached for her emergency kit, also known as the wedding planner's portable crisis arsenal trademark. Okay, let's think about this logically. She pulled out a blank piece of paper like she was about to solve world peace. What if we showed you how not scary it is? How? Think, Maya. You've handled cake meltdowns, rogue flower girls, and that one bride who demanded a llama. You can do this. A practice marriage, completely fake, totally symbolic, just to prove it's not this big, terrifying thing. Tommy's eyes lit up. Like a rehearsal for a rehearsal? Exactly. She scribbled like her life depended on it, crafting a very official-looking, extremely fake marriage license application. See? Totally not binding. You fill it out, realize it's just paperwork, and boom, commitment anxiety, neutralized. That's actually brilliant. Of course it is. I'm a professional. With a clipboard, Tommy reached for the pen just as Tristan strolled in, radiating smugness like it was a cologne. He took one look at the scene and raised an eyebrow. What's happening here? Are we starting a forgery ring? Because if so, I call dibs on designing the fake passports. Mock marriage ceremony, Maya said, resisting the urge to stab him with the pen. Tommy's having pre-wedding panic. Ah, Tristan plucked the pen from Tommy like a magician stealing a wallet. Mind if I cut in, buddy? I've always wanted to see what all the marriage fuss is about. Tristan, this is for Tommy. Come on, princess. He was already signing his name like he was autographing fan mail. What are you scared of? It's not like we're actually getting married. Maya stared at him. The challenge in his eyes was unmistakable, and so was the absolute nerve. She'd never backed down from a challenge in her life, and she wasn't about to start now, especially not with Mr. Boxer push-ups thinking he could rattle her. Fine. She grabbed the pen like a sword. But don't call me princess. Whatever you say, future Mrs. Vale. She signed her name with more force than necessary, their hands brushing in the process. For a second, time did a weird thing where it slowed down, and Maya swore the air crackled. There, she said. Happy now? Ecstatic. Tommy, you feeling better? Tommy, who'd been watching the whole thing like it was live theater, nodded. Actually, yeah. If you two can survive fake marriage, real marriage can't be that bad. Great. We're inspirational now. Next stop, motivational posters. That evening, after the rehearsal dinner devolved into karaoke, Maya found herself on stage with Tristan, both of them tipsy on champagne and high on the chaotic joy of the weekend. Someone had queued up I Will Survive, and Tristan grabbed the other microphone like it was a duel. This song's about you, right? He said, close enough that she'd smell his cologne. It was criminally good. Probably illegal in several states. The woman who survives everything? Including you, she shot back, but she was smiling, against her better judgment. They sang together, their voices blending surprisingly well. Maya got lost in the moment, in the way Tristan's eyes crinkled when he laughed, in how he spun her around during the instrumental break like they were in a rom-com montage, in the warmth of his hand on her waist that lingered just a second too long. This is dangerous, she thought as applause erupted around them. This feels suspiciously like chemistry. Later, back in their room, they brushed their teeth side by side like some sitcom couple. Not bad for a fake husband, Maya said, spitting out toothpaste. Not bad for a fake wife. Tristan bumped her shoulder. Though I think we traumatized poor Tommy. He kept staring at us like we were some kind of weird social experiment. Mission accomplished then. As they settled into their respective beds, 2 feet apart, thank you very much. Maya stared at the ceiling and tried to ignore the flutter in her chest. It was just the champagne, just the wedding buzz, just proximity to a dangerously charming man with weaponized dimples. It definitely wasn't the way Tristan had looked at her during their duet, like she was something worth singing about. It's fake, she reminded herself. All of it is fake. But when she fell asleep, she dreamed of signing her name next to his, over and over again. And in the dream, she didn't even pretend to be annoyed about it. Chapter 3. Oh, we're actually married. Maya woke up to her phone buzzing like it had beef with her. Through the fog of champagne regret, she fumbled around the sheets, grabbed it, and blinked blearily at the screen. Text from Reverend Patricia. Congratulations again to the happy couple. I'll have your marriage certificate filed with the county by noon. Pause. Read again. Stare harder. Brain buffering. Then, she shot up so fast the room spun like a tilt-a-whirl. Tristan! Her voice came out like she'd swallowed gravel and bad decisions. He was face down in a pillow, one arm dangling like a Greek statue that gave up. A gorgeous, maddening disaster of a man. Tristan, wake up now. 5 more minutes, wife. Wife. Okay, no big deal. People say dumb things in the morning. Like, I love cardio. Or, let's get matching tattoos. Or, wait, wife. She slapped his shoulder. Tristan! He finally looked up. Hair in rebellious tufts, face smug and sleepy. Why are you yelling? Did someone die? We might have, she croaked, thrusting the phone at him like it was a weapon. Read this. He squinted, then blinked, then let out a slow, huh? Huh? Her voice went full soprano. Huh is what you say when you forget your keys. Not when you marry a person you met 4 days ago. Well, what do you want me to say? He sat up, looking unfairly attractive for someone who'd ruined her life. Oh no, we accidentally got married because that's literally what happened. Maya's brain screamed in 17 languages. This is a disaster, a complete, utter headline-making disaster. Is it though? He asked, stretching like some kind of sin in motion. I mean, if you had to accidentally marry someone, I'm a pretty solid option. Are you actually insane? Maya was already pacing, hands flailing like a warning system. We need a lawyer. No, we need a team. And a PR firm, and probably a shaman. Maya, breathe. Don't punch him. He has nice teeth. Probably expensive teeth. Focus. Panic later. Fix now. Oh God, what if there are photos? What if we're on TikTok? Don't tell me to breathe. I'm having a perfectly rational spiral in response to a legally binding catastrophe. Stranger? Ouch. He stood. Why was he shirtless again? And Maya's brain short-circuited. Eyes off his chest. Chests don't matter. No one's ever started a family feud over pectoral muscles. Inhale, exhale, be chill, think about the cake. Great. Now I'm picturing the cake being served off that chest. Tristan kept going like this was all fine. We've shared a room, faked a ceremony, sang a duet that ended with meaningful eye contact. There was no meaningful eye contact. There was very meaningful eye contact. She pulled out her laptop and typed like her life depended on it. How to annul accidental marriage, Nevada quickie divorce. I swear it was an accident legal precedent. Wow, just casually Googling how to erase me from your life. That's harsh, wifey. You are a chaos demon in designer boxer briefs. They're Armani, thank you. He flashed a grin, and I prefer a gent of delightful unpredictability. Her phone rang. Jess, act normal. Be cool. Don't sound like a woman who accidentally married a walking smirk. Hey, bride-to-be, Maya said, voice 3 octaves too high. Everything okay? You sound weird. Are you sick? You can't be sick. The wedding is in 6 hours, and I need you functional. I'm great. Fantastic. Completely not legally entangled in a surprise marriage. What? Nothing? On my way to the bridal suite. She hung up and glared at Tristan. We cannot tell anyone, especially not today. I will fake a coma if I have to. Agreed. Let's keep your spontaneous nuptials under wraps. Their day, their drama. It's not drama. It's a catastrophe with Armani underwear. One woman's catastrophe is another man's romantic comedy. 1 hour later, Maya was deep in wedding planner mode, pinning veils, fixing corsages, shouting soothing things like, "Where are the ribbons?" Then, he appeared in the doorway. Hey wifey, need a hand? Internal screaming. Every bridesmaid stopped mid-blush or mascara. Jess slowly turned in her makeup chair. Wifey. Maya felt her soul leave her body. He's joking. Terrible sense of humor. He thinks he's funny. I prefer devastatingly witty, Tristan said, throwing Jess a wink like he was on a rom-com poster. For the rest of the morning, he popped up like a snarky jack-in-the-box. Sweetheart became darling, which became my beloved spouse, which became sugar plum accidental soulmate. She nearly stabbed a hydrangea. I'm going to kill him, she muttered, fixing a crooked bow. Who? Asked Sarah, one of the bridesmaids. My husband, Maya said automatically. Sarah's eyes ballooned. Your what? Pause. I mean, hypothetically, like if I had one, which I don't, obviously. Too late. By lunch, half the wedding party was whispering about her secret husband. Cornered behind the gift table, Maya grabbed Tristan by the lapels. This is your fault. My fault? You called me your husband. Because you called me your wife. Because legally, I am not wrong. We're getting an annulment, she snapped. Sure thing, Mrs. Vale. Stop calling me that. Would you prefer Mrs. Brooks Vale? I'm very open-minded about hyphens. She groaned, turned on her heel, and stalked away. This is fine. Totally fine. Millions of people accidentally marry beautiful, sarcastic chaos goblins every day, right? Chapter 4, Rehearsal Dinner. Bombshells. Maya was in her element, orchestrating the rehearsal dinner with the precision of a symphony conductor. Everything was perfect. The lighting, the flowers, the carefully curated playlist, and a seating chart engineered to keep Aunt Martha far, far from the open bar. Then Derek walked in. Her clipboard slipped from her hands and clattered to the floor. There he was, looking infuriatingly the same as the day he'd left her standing at the altar in her wedding dress, perfectly styled blonde hair, that apologetic smile that used to make her forgive anything, and, oh God, a very pregnant brunette clinging to his arm like she'd won the prize at a county fair. Her stomach lurched. He brought her here to this wedding with a bump that could qualify for its own zip code? Maya. Derek's voice carried across the terrace like an accidental mic check. I was hoping I'd see you. You look great. Think professional thoughts. Think about table arrangements. Think about how you successfully hid the shrimp allergy cards from the caterer's incompetence. Think about anything except the fact that your ex-fiancé brought his pregnant fiancée to your client's wedding. Derek, she forced a smile. I didn't realize Jess had invited you. College friends, you know how it is. He gestured to the woman beside him. This is Amanda, my fiancée. Fiancée. Of course she's his fiancée, because this day didn't already feel like emotional Russian roulette. Congratulations, Maya managed. When are you due? 6 weeks, Amanda beamed, one manicured hand resting on her belly like a gemstone-adorned protective shield. We're so excited. Derek tells me you two used to date. Maya's internal organs briefly liquefied. Something like that, she said weakly. A quiet shift in the air announced a presence beside her. Solid, warm, calm. Sorry I'm late, sweetheart. Tristan's voice wrapped around her like velvet as his arm slid around her waist, pulling her gently against his side. Traffic was murder. She looked up at him, stunned, but the look in his eyes told her everything. Play along, trust me. Derek, right? Tristan extended his free hand. I've heard so much about you. What are you doing? I'm sorry, you are? Derek's smile faltered. Tristan Vale, Maya's husband. Maya choked on her own breath. Amanda's jaw dropped like she'd just been slapped with a wedding cake. Husband? She squeaked. Oh my God, you got married. When? Where? Why didn't we get an invitation? We just finished registering at Pottery Barn. It was very sudden, Tristan said smoothly, his thumb beginning small, lazy circles on Maya's hip that made it almost impossible to stand upright. You know how it is. When you meet the right person, sometimes you just know. Derek looked like he'd swallowed a lemon. Maya opened her mouth. I wanted something small and private, Tristan added quickly. Didn't we, love? She hesitated, just for a second. Her gaze flicked to Derek, then to Amanda's bump, then back to Tristan's steady, sure hand on her waist. Right, she said, very romantic. Candlelight, vows, you know, spur of the moment. For the next hour, Tristan played the role of doting husband with such ease it was terrifying. He stayed by her side like she was his axis, whispered terrible jokes in her ear that made her snort champagne through her nose, fed her cake with intimate precision, laughed like she was the only person in the room. It felt real. That was the scariest part. She caught Derek watching them more than once, his expression somewhere between suspicious and heartbroken. It came to a head by the dessert table, where Maya was hiding with a piece of red velvet cake she didn't even want. You're really married? Derek asked, as if maybe saying it aloud would make it less true. Yes, Derek, I'm really married. But, Maya, it's only been a year since... His voice dipped, lower now. You said you never wanted to get married again. That marriage was a patriarchal institution designed to trap women in outdated social contracts. I said a lot of things. Maya lifted her chin. People change. Do they? Because this doesn't seem like you at all. The Maya I knew would never rush into marriage with some guy she barely knows. You don't know me anymore, she snapped. You gave up that right when you left me at the altar. Derek flinched like she'd struck him. Maya, Everything okay here? Tristan's voice was soft but firm as he returned, stepping between them without so much as a ripple. Fine, Maya said a little too quickly. Derek was just congratulating us. Was he? Tristan smiled thinly. That's generous. Though, I have to say, Derek, your timing's interesting. Showing up to a wedding with your pregnant fiancé seeking out your ex? Some might call that bad form. I wasn't seeking. Weren't you? His tone never shifted, but the steel underneath cut like glass. Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you're trying to upset my wife, and I don't appreciate that. My wife. The words hit her like a bolt of lightning. Electric. Dangerous. Derek muttered something about Amanda needing him and slipped into the crowd. "Thank you," she said softly. "For what?" "For all of that. You didn't have to." "Yes, I did." His eyes were serious now, the teasing edge gone. Nobody gets to make you feel small, especially not a coward in designer shoes. They stared at each other, something unspoken sparking between them. "Dance with me," Tristan said suddenly. "What?" "Dance with me. We're married, remember? People will expect it." Before she could protest, he'd taken her hand and led her onto the terrace's makeshift dance floor. The band was playing something slow and honey-sweet. Tristan pulled her in. Close. Closer than was necessary, than was safe. "You're different than I expected," he murmured near her ear, his breath warm. "Different how?" "Stronger. Braver. You handled that with more grace than most people could manage. I wanted to hide under the dessert table. But you didn't. That's what matters." They swayed, slowly, steadily. Her heart beat loud enough to drown out the music. She became aware of every point where their bodies touched, his hand resting just a little too low on her back, the rhythm of his breathing, the way he watched her like she was a revelation. "You always fidget your necklace when you're nervous," he said. Her fingers froze on the charm around her throat. "You notice that?" "I notice a lot of things about you." She looked up at him. "Tristan? Are we doing the right thing? Pretending like this?" He pulled back just enough to meet her eyes. "I don't know, but it doesn't feel like pretending to me." And then, because the universe had a flair for dramatics, he kissed her. It was supposed to be for show. Derek was definitely watching, she knew. But the moment Tristan's lips touched hers, the world dropped away. He tasted like champagne and trouble, and when his fingers slid into her hair, she forgot every reason why this was a bad idea. They broke apart slowly, breathless. Around them, the party had frozen into a rapt audience. "Well," Tristan said with a crooked smile, his forehead resting against hers. That was either very good acting or very bad judgment. Maya didn't answer, because her heart was still hammering in her chest, and her skin was still buzzing where he'd touched her. And she already knew which one it was. So did he. Chapter 5. Honeymoon Suite Meltdown. "There has to be some mistake," Maya repeated for the third time, eyeing the hotel manager like he just handed her a pineapple pizza and called it gourmet. "I'm terribly sorry, Mrs. Vale," he said with practiced calm, tapping away on his little hotel tablet. "But according to our records, you and your husband were very excited about the honeymoon suite upgrade. We absolutely did know." "Actually," Tristan cut in, appearing behind her with their luggage and a sheepish grin, "I may have accidentally mentioned we were newlyweds yesterday at the front desk. You know, in a casual, harmless, I love my fake wife kind of way." Maya spun around like a malfunctioning wind-up toy. "You did what?" "Sweetheart," he said, oozing smug charm, "I was just being friendly. You'd be surprised how much free stuff you get when people think you're blissfully hitched and annoyingly in love." The manager beamed. "Indeed. You've been upgraded to our most romantic suite. Champagne, chocolate strawberries, rose petals, and of course, the heart-shaped jacuzzi." Of course there's a heart-shaped jacuzzi. Maya stared blankly, already regretting every decision that led her to this moment. 20 minutes later, Maya stood in the doorway of what looked like a Valentine's Day aisle at a discount store exploded. There were rose petals on everything. Bed, bathtub, toilet. She half expected one to fall out of the mini fridge. "Well," Tristan said, plopping their bags down, "this is either the start of a great love story or the opening scene of a very awkward sitcom." "It's a disaster," Maya muttered, even as she caught herself admiring the floor-to-ceiling windows, the ocean view, and the fireplace that looked like it belonged in a Nicholas Sparks adaptation. "Do not look at the bed. Don't." "Oh God, you looked. The bed was king-sized and covered in petals, with Mr. and Mrs. Vale spelled out in chocolate. She considered licking the pillows out of spite. I'm sleeping on the couch, she declared. There's no couch, Tristan said, checking behind the curtains like maybe a pull-out bed was hiding in the walls. But we can build a pillow fort. Very platonic, very high school sleepover vibes. I can't believe you lied about being married. I am married to you, technically. This entire situation is a mess. My ex thinks I've lost my mind. We're playing honeymooners in a suite meant for people who like to cuddle in heart-shaped bathtubs, and now I'm stuck with you and your stupid, charming face. He leaned in, lips twitching. You forgot the part where you kissed me back. Maya stopped mid-rant. That was for show. Was it? Yes, obviously, this isn't real. Isn't it? He stepped forward, she stepped back, right into a strategically placed bouquet of roses. Because that kiss felt real to me, and so did the way you looked at me on the dance floor, and the way you're looking at me now. How am I looking at you? Like you're scared I might kiss you again, and like you want me to. Maya opened her mouth to retort, and promptly forgot the English language when he gently traced her pulse point with one finger. You're imagining things. Your heart beats louder than my cousin Dave's car stereo, and he once blew out his speakers playing Backstreet Boys. What? That's not relevant. It's deeply relevant. Before Maya could decide whether to yell at him or shove him into the jacuzzi, his phone rang. Saved by the bell. Jake, hey man, what? Slow down. You what? Okay, yeah, we'll be right there. Tristan looked up, guilt smeared across his handsome face. That was Jake. He threw his wedding vows into the ocean. Something about symbolism. Now he's panicking. Maya groaned. Perfect. Crisis in paradise. Come on, boss bride. Let's go save your favorite emotional himbo. 3 hours later, they returned to their suite, emotionally drained, slightly damp from a rogue sprinkler, and high on hotel mints. Tristan collapsed onto the bed with a dramatic sigh. Well, I think we really bonded with Jake's panic attack tonight. Maya kicked off her heels. Yep, nothing brings people closer than rewriting heartfelt vows while someone hyperventilates into a napkin. Tristan loosened his tie and watched her from the bed. You know, for someone whose love life is a dumpster fire, you give one hell of a pep talk. Thank you. I aim to heal others while quietly imploding. They got ready for bed in silence, like two strangers sharing a very romantic Airbnb. Maya changed into her comfiest pajamas, flannel shorts and a shirt that read, I turn coffee into wedding plans, and willed herself not to wonder what Tristan wore to bed. Spoiler alert, not much. He was shirtless, in plaid pajama pants, sitting on the edge of the bed like a Greek statue of regret. You know, he said, watching the moonlight reflect on the water, I'm really good at the beginning of relationships. Maya sat down on her side of the bed, wary. What happens after the beginning? They realize I'm a disaster, or I get bored, usually both. That's encouraging. He glanced at her. I just never saw the point of dragging something out once it stopped being fun. She gave him a look. Derek said something similar, right before he left me at the altar. What a tool. He said I was too controlling, too perfect, that loving me was like living in a museum. Beautiful, but sterile. Tristan snorted. Sterile. You? I've seen your emergency purse. It's like a survival bunker on a strap. You're a beautifully chaotic planner. You're like, if Google Calendar had feelings. That's the nicest insult I've ever received. Maya. His voice turned soft. You're incredible. You don't need to change a thing. She turned to him, heart doing Olympic-level flips. This is crazy. Completely bonkers. We're going to get hurt. Almost definitely. I should sleep on the... Don't say couch. There is no couch. Neither of them moved. I'm scared, she whispered. Me too. He reached out, tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, and let his hand linger against her cheek. What are we doing? She asked. I have no idea, he said. But for once, I'm not trying to find the exit. Maya's breath caught, because for once, she wasn't either. And that scared her more than the heart-shaped jacuzzi. Chapter 6. Wait, do I? Maya woke up alone. The bed beside her was cold, Tristan's pillow barely indented. For a moment, she thought she'd dreamed the whole thing, the whispered conversations that had stretched until dawn. Falling asleep with his hand in hers, the way he'd looked at her like she was something precious and fragile and worth protecting. But his cologne still lingered on the pillows, and there was a note on the nightstand in his messy handwriting. Gone for a run. Didn't want to wake you. See you at the circus. T, the circus. Right, the wedding. The reason they were here in the first place, before everything got complicated and beautiful and terrifying. Maya's phone buzzed with approximately 17 text messages from Jess, each more panicked than the last. The final one simply said, "Help, everything is on fire. Not literally, but maybe literally." By the time Maya made it to the bridal suite, it was indeed chaos. The hairstylist was running late. Jess's dress had a mysterious stain on the train, and Aunt Martha was drunk again despite promises to stick to coffee. Maya, thank God. Jess grabbed her hands. I don't know what I'd do without— Wait, you look different. Glowy. Did you sleep well? I slept with my accidental husband's hand in mine, and now I think I have feelings, Maya thought. Out loud, she said, must be the hotel moisturizer. Jess blinked. Wow, I should try that. I've been using goat milk cream and I smell like a barn. Maya opened her mouth to respond, but a scream from the hallway cut her off. A flower girl sprinted by, followed closely by a sobbing bridesmaid wielding a curling iron like a weapon. Jess buried her face in her hands. Everything is a disaster. I swear if one more person asks me if I'm nervous, I will throw them into the ocean. Maya sprang into action, doing what she did best, fix other people's chaos while ignoring her own. She rearranged the schedule, bribed the hairstylist with mimosas, Febrezed the stain on Jess's dress, and confiscated Aunt Martha's special coffee. By noon, things were mostly under control. Mostly. Except Maya hadn't seen Tristan again, and she was very aware that the longer she didn't see him, the more she was thinking about him, like some kind of emotionally compromised rom-com heroine. She checked her phone. Nothing. Did he really mean it? That he didn't want to undo it? That it wasn't fake for him? She had no idea what she wanted. Well, maybe she did, but she was scared to admit it out loud, even to herself. Still unsure, she changed into her assistant, who also might be married outfit, a tasteful navy jumpsuit with pockets for snacks and emergency vows, and headed toward the ceremony tent, only to get stopped by the officiant. The best man just threw up behind the altar and is refusing to come out unless we give him another ginger ale, and someone just knocked over the cake cart. Maya's eyes widened. The cake cart? That's not even supposed to be out here until— The loud crash confirmed it. The cake cart had not survived. Maya sprinted around the corner and skidded to a halt at the reception site. It looked like a wedding-themed explosion had gone off. There were petals everywhere, a frosting-covered server trying to free herself from a tablecloth and standing in the middle of a Tristan. He was half-dressed in his tuxedo jacket, a frosting handprint on his shirt, holding a rogue bouquet like a weapon. They locked eyes across the battlefield of buttercream and regret. You came, he said, voice dry but hopeful. I tripped over a floral arch, knocked over your cousin with the cake cart, and face-planted into a tray of profiteroles, Maya replied, brushing a flower out of her hair. So yeah, I came. Tristan blinked. Then he grinned. Romantic. I don't want an annulment, she blurted, cheeks flaming. Not unless you do. And if you do, that's fine, obviously. No pressure. I just figured I should say something before one of us ends up in another legally binding accident. Tristan stared at her like she was the most confusing and beautiful spreadsheet he'd ever seen. Then he reached into his pocket and pulled out a velvet box. He opened it to reveal a simple gold band. Let's do it right this time, sweetheart. Maya blinked back tears. Is this the part where I pretend to think about it? You can, but you already knocked over a cake cart to get here. Kinda gave yourself away? I panicked. Romance is confusing. Yeah, he said, stepping closer, voice warm. But you make it worth the chaos. The end. And that's where we'll stop for now. Before Maya murders Tristan or marries him on purpose. Who knows? If you're loving Wedding Crasher Clause so far, make sure you drop a comment, share this live, and let me know your favorite scene. Was it the fake marriage, the cake cart crash, or Tristan's Chaos Goblin in Armani Brief's energy? Thank you for hanging out with me tonight. I love you all for supporting this spicy little rom-com of mine. Until next time, stay dramatic, stay romantic, and never trust a tuxedo with dimples. Good night, babes. Stay poetic, poetics.